Liminal anxiety. You ever feel weirdly unsettled in places that aren't dangerous, just off? Like an empty school hallway at night, or a hotel hallway with no windows? That unease? It's liminal anxiety. It's not fear. It's not dread. It's that eerie tension in in-between spaces, what researchers now link to our brain's pattern-seeking system, short-circuiting. These places break the usual rules. No people, no purpose, no resolution. Psychologists suggest it taps into an ancient survival instinct. We evolved to feel safe in familiar settings. Villages, camps, environments with social cues. Liminal spaces? None of that. Just visual silence and too much ambiguity. And our brain hates unresolved ambiguity. So it triggers low-level anxiety. Not because there's danger, but because we don't know what to prepare for. Paranoia. You know paranoia, thinking people are out to get you. Well, paranoia is its weirdly wholesome evil twin. It's the sneaking suspicion that the universe is secretly conspiring in your favor, that people are plotting nice things behind your back, that the traffic lights turned green just for you, that your name came up in a meeting, and someone said something great. It sounds like delusion, right? But it's not completely imaginary. Positive psychology researchers are now exploring paranoia as a real cognitive state, often showing up in people with strong optimism biases or elevated dopamine levels. It's like your brain's reward circuitry is overinterpreting reality in a good way. And fun fact, studies show that people with mild paranoia tend to report higher well-being, stronger social bonds, and lower cortisol levels. So maybe the universe isn't against you. Maybe it's your biggest fan and just mysterious about it. Jamais vu. You've heard of déjà vu when something unfamiliar feels freakishly familiar. But jamais vu is the opposite, when something totally familiar suddenly feels alien. Like you look at your own hand and go, wait, what even is this? Or you repeat a word like door over and over until it stops sounding real. Let's do something. Try this now yourself. Then write in the comments how it felt. Door, 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 door. That's not a word anymore. This is a real emotional phenomenon. Not confusion, not disassociation, but an intense, momentary cognitive rejection of the familiar. Researchers at the University of Leeds recreated it in labs by making participants write the same word 30 plus times. Most reported feelings of weirdness, discomfort, and unreality. It's your brain's recognition system doing a soft reboot, like it just updated and forgot what normal is. Some neurologists think it's linked to temporal lobe activity, the same region affected in epilepsy and dissociative states. So yes, sometimes your brain just panics at how real reality feels and yeets it out of your emotional system. The uncanny valley emotion. This one doesn't even have a name yet, but scientists now recognize it as a distinct emotional reaction. That skin-crawling, sickly weirdness you feel when something looks almost human, but not quite. Like a hyper-realistic robot, a CGI face with dead eyes, or even some AI-generated images that are just off. This isn't just creeped out. It triggers a specific cocktail of disgust, confusion, and fear. This happened because your brain's fusiform face area, the part that processes human faces, gets overloaded. It's screaming, human. Wait. No. Wait. Yes. And that internal yes-no contradiction triggers a kind of emotional glitch. Studies from MIT and the University of Tokyo show that this reaction is ancient, probably tied to disease avoidance. Back in the day, if someone looked human but wrong, they might have been sick, or dead, or dangerous. So now, even when it's just a robot with two perfect teeth, your brain lights up with, burn it. Schadenfreude's evil cousin. Freudenfreude. Everyone knows Schadenfreude, the joy you feel when someone you hate eats pavement. But science recently named its opposite, Freudenfreude. That's the genuine happiness you feel when someone else succeeds. Not because it benefits you, not because you're trying to be nice. Just pure joy at someone else's joy. And here's the twist. Freudenfreude is extremely rare. According to studies from the University of California, it mostly shows up in securely attached people with low levels of narcissism. So, not the average comment section. But when it does show up, it deepens relationships, triggers dopamine, and even boosts immune function. Yep, celebrating someone else's win might literally make you healthier. Turns out, emotional generosity isn't just noble, it's chemically rewarding. Numinous awe. This isn't just, wow, that's cool. Numinous awe is the overwhelming emotion you feel when something is so vast, mysterious, or beautiful. It makes you feel small, but connected. Think, standing under the Milky Way with zero light pollution, hearing a choir in a cathedral that echoes like eternity, or realizing you're made of stardust, literally. Researchers separate awe into two types now. Perceptual awe equals triggered by beauty or scale. Numinous awe equals triggered by existential realization. The numinous kind shuts down your ego, slows time perception, and even rewires your default mode network. The same brain region involved in self-identity. You don't just feel amazed, you feel transcended. And people who experience it regularly report higher creativity, deeper life satisfaction, and more prosocial behavior. So getting existential isn't just for philosophers, it's for your mental health. Sonder, imagine this. You're walking down the street. You pass a stranger, and suddenly it hits you. They have a life as vivid and complex as yours, full of dreams, regrets, inside jokes, secret fears, and you'll never know any of it. That emotional gut punch is called Sonder, and while the word came from the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, psychologists are now taking it very seriously. Researchers call it perspective shock, or empathic depth perception, a sudden burst of cognitive empathy where your brain breaks out of its ego loop. In brain scans, it activates the temporoparietal junction, the area tied to theory of mind, our ability to imagine that others think and feel differently than us. Sonder is linked to greater compassion, humility, and reduced narcissism, but it also comes with a weird side effect, a slight ache, a quiet grief. Because the second you realize everyone else has a rich, complex inner world, you also realize you'll never fully enter it. Aesthetic emotions. You ever look at a painting, hear a song, watch a random sunset, and suddenly you feel something intense, but you can't name it? Science now classifies that under a cluster called aesthetic emotions. Not joy, not sadness. Something in between. Think awe, elevation, chills, or even that lump in your throat bittersweetness. These emotions don't serve survival. They serve meaning. Neuroscientists at the Max Planck Institute ran fMRI scans on people listening to moving music. What lit up? Not just the auditory cortex, but also the default mode network, a brain region tied to self-reflection and personal identity. Basically, aesthetic emotions force your brain to go, wait, this matters, but I don't know why. It's one of the only emotional categories that make you feel bigger than yourself, without needing a reason. Gan-e. This one doesn't even exist in English. Meet amai, a Japanese emotion that means the sweet pleasure of being passively taken care of by someone you trust. Not romantic, not needy. It's that quiet feeling when you lean into someone's care without fear of rejection, like a kid falling asleep on their parent, or an adult venting without needing a solution. Just presence. Western psychology completely missed this until recently. But Japanese psychologist Takeo Doi argued that amai is a core human emotion, one that Western cultures often suppress in favor of independence. Modern cross-cultural studies now back this up. Amai plays a huge role in emotional bonding, especially in collectivist cultures. It's about being vulnerable without shame, and knowing the other person won't weaponize it. Subscribe and stay tuned. I'll be back soon with another video.